Tonight in this documentary we will be looking into the mentally ill. Later on in the show we'll be interviewing an expert, and we'll also be interviewing someone who is mentally ill, and we'll be gathering information upon that, so tune in.
And now we welcome our first guest, Grace Dibley. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to go straight into the questions. Do you know anybody suffering from a mental illness?
A lot of my family and relatives do.
Do you know whenabouts in their life they got these mental illnesses? Or
Like when they were affected?
Yeah.
With my mum, it was her teenage years. So back then they didn't have all the medication and all the equipment to help sort of get through it. So back then she didn't even realise she had it until she got older.
What would you say the main causes of mental illnesses are, usually?
It can be inherited, it can be through stress and other illnesses leading on to that. It can be anything, really.
Do you think it's more pressure over, like, if from in your teenage years, do you reckon it's education's pressure?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, when I was at secondary school, there was so much pressure, and I know so many people that just had breakdowns, and like they force you to do work, and then the minute that you say you can't do something because your health is stopping you, because it's mental health and it's an invisible illness, they don't believe you. They just think you're making it up.
Do you have any advice for those suffering from a mental illness?
Seek medical help straight away. The minute you think something isn't right or you don't feel completely comfortable with yourself, I'd seek medical help either at the hospital, your GP, or if you're really scared to talk to them, talk to a close friend or family.
Right. What do you think the media's portrayal of mental illnesses are?
I'd say that they only show the really bad side, the negative side of things, and they don't feed you enough information based on it. So like you could say this person has this mental illness, but they don't give you the symptoms, they don't tell you these things, so you could think, well, I've experienced this, maybe I've got it, and it can scare a lot of viewers.
Do you have any examples within TV or film?
There's a film called It's a Funny Story, and basically the main character goes through depression and has a bit of a breakdown due to stress from college and work and everything, and he goes into a teenage psychiatric ward and he befriends lots of people with other mental illnesses, and that's how he manages to get through like his issues himself.
People with mental illness go through many problems during their day-to-day lives, such as lack of motivation, overall depression, and dissatisfaction with themselves. In more severe cases, some consider suicide and can have major personality changes or hallucinations. However, none of them can consider the repercussions of suicide and how it will affect those around them.
Do you think educating people on mental illness is important?
I think so, yeah, because it can help teach you if anyone in your family has it but hasn't said anything, or if you're experiencing it, you will learn later on what is going on with your body, like what's happening and stuff.
Do you think it should be taught earlier there rather than later in school?
I think so. I think the earlier you find these things out, the quicker you can deal with these things if you was in a situation or a scenario where someone close to you, or even yourself, was experiencing it.
Okay, thank you for coming in to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me.